The ruling DLP may suffer a backlash from angry South Coast voters over the sewage mess, even as authorities report a new public health problem in that area. Those are our top stories in our Barbados Today morning news update for Friday, February the 2nd. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Thanks for joining us. The governing Democratic Labour Party is expected to suffer a backlash from angry voters who reside on the South Coast as a result of the troubling sewage crisis. Yesterday morning, the usual offending sewer caps in the vicinity of the Worthing Post Office, as well as those in the close proximity to the Hastings Mall, were again leaking profusely, spewing out filth. Residents told Barbados Today that while the rest of the country may have grown numb to the impact due to the length of time the problem has gone unchecked, they were growing angrier each day that they were forced to live with the awful stench and constant threat to their health. Meanwhile, as the authorities struggle to resolve the ongoing sewage overflow crisis on the South Coast, health officials are reporting a new public health issue in the same catchment area, partly attributable to the effluent. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George told Barbados Today yesterday afternoon that there was a mosquito control problem on the South Coast, which has forced the Ministry of Health to take immediate action to nip it in the bud.
We have a mosquito control problem in that catchment. I think it is due to many reasons. The additional rainfall, the village of sewage, the not steel runoff in certain areas, and there has been accumulation of water in that area. In addition, the swamp of Barbados, the Greenhouse swamp, has some challenges. There's a lot of bush going around the periphery, particularly of some aspects of the swamp, and the mosquito levels are very, very high. So we are going to be doing two things. We are doing daily fogging. We stepped up from twice to 3 times weekly fogging to daily fogging. And then, secondly, we're doing our larvicidal distribution. But thirdly, we are going to deploy some of the persons in the debushing program to the swamp to try to see if they could reduce some of the brushing on the growth in areas where we feel mosquitoes are breeding.
In other news now, police were on the hunt last night for 2 men allegedly behind a carjacking on Wednesday night at Morgan Lewis in St. Andrew. Police spokesman Acting Inspector Roland Cobbler said the attackers, one armed with a gun, robbed 31-year-old Lyndon Brooks of his $155,000 Mercedes-Benz car, along with an undisclosed sum of money and a mobile phone. Cobbler said the car was found later along Morgan Lewis Road, destroyed by fire. He said Brooks was driving along Morgan Lewis Road when he observed a man jogging on the same street. Cobbler reported that the man suddenly fell in the road, and when Brooks stopped to find out if he was all right, another man appeared with a gun and both robbed him.
We are therefore making an appeal, all reminding motorists who are traveling alone to avoid stopping in secluded areas, provide assistance for persons who may appear to be in distress. Call the police immediately instead. Never stop to check cars in a lonely or secluded area. Always try to drive to a well-lit area and well-traveled area. Do not get out of your car on a lonely, dark road. If someone volunteers to assist, do not get out of your car, roll the windows down 1 inch and ask them to call the police.
Meanwhile, a 38-year-old man of no fixed place of residence has received 2 separate sentences after pleading guilty to 4 drug offenses that resulted from the police seizure of 2,619 cannabis plants at 4 locations in St. John on Wednesday. When Edwin Victor appeared before Magistrate Christopher Birch yesterday, he was fined $5,000 payable in 6 months, with the alternative of spending 18 months behind bars for cultivation and a further sentence of 18 months in jail for possession. That prison term was suspended for 2 years. He was reprimanded and discharged for trafficking and convicted, reprimanded and discharged for possession with intent to supply.
There's regional and international news after this short break. Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now. The Antigua and Barbuda Public Service Association is demanding a 33 1/3% increase in salaries for its members. President of the union representing public service, Sandra Williams, is hoping a social dialogue workshop held this week will trigger the start of talks.
President of the ABPSA, Sandra Williams, says workers she represents have not received salary increases in over a decade and argues consequently their spending power has been drastically reduced. She says the unions were given a deadline of December 13 to submit collective bargaining proposals to the government on behalf of their workers. Williams says ABPSA sent theirs well ahead of the time limit.
ABPSA is looking at a 33 1/3% increase. That is only one proposal we gave to them, and we gave them all the rationale for that. And some of the rationale we gave is that in 2008, under the former administration, they gave custom and excise 33 1/3% increase. Teachers were reclassified. Met officers got 100% increase. Permanent secretaries got increased. And they had ad hoc reclassification happen throughout the service. So based on you're looking at the inflation rate, 3.4%. You're looking at Social Security between 2016, 2017, 2018, moving at a mass of 2.25%.
And on the international scene, a man who drove a van into worshippers outside a mosque in North London, killing one of them, will be sentenced today. We hear more in this report from Euronews.
Darren Osborne from Cardiff was convicted yesterday of murder and attempted murder in what police and prosecutors say was an act of terrorism. He developed a hatred of Muslims after watching a TV drama about child sex abuse involving British Pakistani men. The imam of the mosque in Finsbury Park has welcomed the guilty verdicts.
I definitely feel that justice has been done. He stood trial, he answered for his crime, and he'll be punished accordingly for his crime and receive an appropriate sentence. And that's the best that could have been hoped for.
Local people marched in solidarity with the Muslim community following the attack in June last year. It killed a 51-year-old man who'd collapsed on the roadside just before the van ploughed into the crowd. 12 other people were injured.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.